No, man, but you got to keep going. What am I going to do, quit? That's not an option. You got to keep on keeping on. Life's a garden, dig it? You make it work for you. You never give up, man. That's my philosophy.
Hey, gardeners. I hope you're all having a great week out in your gardens this week. We are checking in on my container peach tree. This is a frost peach tree. We're growing out of a container. I talk about it all the time, but look at all of these delicious fruit that are all over our tree this year. This is so awesome. So awesome. Again, peaches are probably my favorite fruit. And just look at these things. Just nice. See, you can grow your own fruit at home. All right, everybody, let's get growing. All right, everybody. Welcome to Let's Get Growing, your weekly gardening live cast right here on the Urban Gardener channel with me, Enoch. I'm your host today, and we've got a really great show for you. So thanks for joining with me, all of you passionate plant people and garden enthusiasts. Today on the show, we've got an interview I did a couple of weeks ago with our good friend, John Kohler. John Kohler. We've got it. So here in just a little bit, we'll play this interview I got. We were intending on playing this last week though, but man, we had something that happened for our show that hasn't happened quite yet. And with a live show like this, all sorts of things are bound to happen. And we've had all sorts of things happen so far in the history of our show, but we haven't came out to go do the show, get things all set up, and then the whole power went out. I mean, it went out, and I was like, "Oh no, did I pay my power bill?" But it wasn't that. It went out for our whole area, which was really weird because it was kind of forecast that we were going to have a big kind of storm roll through our area in the afternoon. So we were expecting a big storm, high winds, thunder, lightning, torrential downpours, all that sort of stuff. I mean, it was a really crazy storm that actually came through, but it was supposed to be in the afternoon. So coming in to do this show, I was like, oh, there ain't no problem. By the time we're done with the show, it'll all get started. We can get out there and start doing some things if the winds get crazy and all of that. So I was kind of planning for it. Little did I plan that when it was completely calm out, nothing going on, it was perfectly fine out there, and the power goes out. And boy, oh boy, I was kind of scrambling. What's going on? How is this? Where is it? How and when is it going to come back on? And that was kind of the situation for us last Saturday. So we didn't have a show last Saturday, unfortunately. We tried, and I waited for a bit as long as I can. There was two issues kind of at stake too, which I didn't, which I'm still trying to wrap my head around. But because I would think the power might put out one, but if the power comes out, wouldn't it restart the other one? And maybe that is the case. But the internet was out as well too. So, we would have to have both of those back, right, in order to do the show, power and internet. So I was getting two different types of responses from both the power company and the people who do the internet. So I wasn't quite sure. So we finally had to call it there. But we did have a great Sunday edition of the show last week, though, too, because for the Sunday edition last week, it was the third Sunday of the month, and we invited for our monthly gardening book to the show Karen Hughes, from Offer of the Leave Your Troubles Behind. And it was such a great interview. Karen's been on the show before. We've talked about her book before, but this was a great time for us to really dig into all of the sort of things about her book. And it was just really great. How to De-Stress and Grow Happiness Through Plants. I really highly recommend that book. But that was a great show last Sunday. So definitely. And, and just to kind of let you all know too, on those third Sundays of the month when we do our monthly book club, which has really been fun. I'm telling you, we've got Mark Boucher Colbert, who does our In the Garden segments on the Sunday edition. He's a good friend of the show. He's been doing a lot of things with us with me anyways, since almost the very beginning of my channel. So he's a really, really good friend of ours. So it is so awesome to kind of have a co-host, to not only be doing it myself, but when I thought of the idea of doing a book club, I knew Mark was the right fit for this, because we both talk about all the time about how much we love books and gardening books. We've been to the Northwest Flower and Garden Show together a couple of different times, and each time we're both perusing the book sections and all that sort of stuff as we're checking things out and doing a lot of talk about that sort of stuff. So I knew it'd be perfect to have him there. So you got to check these out. It's really great. But one of the other things that really you want to do when doing the book club is come and join with us and stick around for the end of the show. Stick around for the end of the show, because then we're able to do a book club giveaway for our next book of the month. So we announce the next book of the month and we give away a copy of the book. So you can win a copy of our book if you just come and join with us and stick to the end on the third Sunday of the month for our gardening book club. And next month's gardening book club selection is Marta McDowell. Marta McDowell will join us on the third Sunday next month, talking all about her book, All the President's Gardens. And I just thought this would be really great, kind of a great, fun little kind of way of, just doing something in the gardening world during an election season without being political at all. We're just gonna, we're gonna enter that common ground, and we're gonna talk about the White House grounds, and we're gonna talk about all of these wonderful gardens, all the way back to, like George Washington, the first president, all the way up to, and also too, and again, not to be political, this book does not cover anybody who's in any current political situation right now too. So none of that'll be happening, so don't worry about that when it comes down to it. So I know I was hearing some people who were asking me about that, and I was like, yeah, well, I thought it would be fun, in the long run. We can all talk about, we've all, got our favorites and favorite presidents of history and all of that, but we all love gardens, and that's one thing they do really, really well, and do a lot of great gardening at the White House. So, this would be a great opportunity for us to sort of dip into a little bit of history and talk about gardens at our nation's White House. So yeah, that's going to be really great. Again, the book is All the President's Garden, Madison's Cabbages to Kennedy's Roses, How the White House Grounds Have Grown with America. Just a really great book. I was kind of flipping through it and perusing through it before we really got into it all right now, but I've actually been starting to read some of it. There's some really good stuff so far, and I'm really excited about talking about this book with Marta McDowell live, because that's the coolest thing about our book club too. And I gotta like to emphasize this. It's not just your normal book club where you read a book for, however period of time that you do it, and then you all gather together in one of your living rooms and have some snacks and talk about all of the different things about the book and all of that, and kind of give your own little peer reviews of each and everything like that. But this is a little bit different. I mean, we're you guys get to ask questions about what you thought about the book. You can tell us these sort of things, some of your favorite parts of the book, all of that sort of stuff. But we also get to dig into that with the author. In most book clubs, the author doesn't come over to your living room and hang out and talk to you about the book. But in this book club, they do. So definitely come and join with us for next month's Gardening Book Club, where we're going to talk with Marta McDowell. And again, we'll announce the next month's book club then too, and you can get yourself a chance to win our great book there. So lots and lots of things going on today. Again, like I said, I got a pre-recorded interview with John Kohler coming up here in just a few minutes. But one of the things I want to try this week, as we don't have any live guests this week, we've had a kind of, again, a little bit of a shuffle. We had to kind of postpone some things and switch some things around because of basically losing a whole episode last weekend. So again, we don't have any live people today. So I kind of thought of something that happened on a Sunday edition several weeks ago and can kind of fill up some of this, because I love to be able to show you guys the things that I've got growing on in my garden. So what we'll do here in just a couple of minutes is we will do what I'm going to call a gardening slideshow. and I'll take you around and show you some pictures of the things that we've got growing on around the gardens and talk a little bit about that. And then in just a little bit in the show, we'll get and talk with our good friend, John Kohler. So definitely stick around here, and I'll see you guys in just a minute. Let's Get Growing is sponsored by IV Organic.
Hi, my name is Charles Malky, biologist and plant expert with IV Organics, where we grow cool plants and author Saving the World with the Home Garden. IV Organic 3-in-1 Plant Guard has 7 natural oils that protect your plants, not just from the summer heat as well as winter cold, but also protects your plants from damaging insects and rodents. The oils in the product include castor, cinnamon, clove, garlic, peppermint, rosemary, and spearmint. These oils are natural insect and rodent repellent oils, which are encapsulated by the base powder, offering your plants months of protection at a time. 1 application per year will suffice for protection against damaging summer sunburn and winter sun scald, but if the target is pests, application as much as 2 to 3 times a year may be necessary.
Hi everyone, this is Sarah from Sarah's Seed Shop, here with this week's trivia question. Approximately what percentage of a cucumber is made up of water? A, 80%, B, 85%, C, 90%, or D, 95%? We'll be back with the answer a little later in the show.
So, all right. Do you know the answer to Sarah's trivia question this week? Definitely jump into our comments there and let us know and all of that. Let's jump in right now and see who we got joining with us today here. All right. Oh, of course, right off at the top of the show, we got to give a big, huge shout out to Jay Dixon, our facilitator, joining us from Huron County, Midwestern Ontario, Canada. Awesome, Jay. Thank you so much for joining with us here. And of course, it looks like we've got joining us again, I love it, joining us bright and early from the future in Australia. We've got Rick joining with us. Rick, great to have you back with us on the show here too. Love it. He says, like the t-shirt. Yeah. Drink more plants. I thought it was appropriate for John Kohler today for sure. That's right. And let's see here. Sam's joining with us. Good to see you, Sam. Awesome. Good afternoon to you. And let's see here. We got our moderator, Adam Burley, in the comments with us. How you doing, Adam? It's good to see you. Jersey girl. Excellent. Great to have you all here. And let's see. Oh, we got Rob, of course, too. Join us from England. All right. We got a nice international audience right here on the Urban Gardener channel for the Let's Get Growing show. Thank you for joining with us, Rob. Great to see you. Right on. And Adam says, somebody's been picking peaches. That's right. You see my peaches here. And I'll be showing you here too, because you saw at the very beginning there, I showed you a clip of the tree that is just really great. I mean, we had maybe the year before last, but I did some pruning and some things. I mean, I gotta shape that tree just a little bit better, I think, as we get towards the off season and stuff for maybe next year. But again, it was actually, as we didn't get next to any peaches last year. This year, this is a really great haul, and this is probably only about half of them right now too. I got about another half over there too as well, but they are delicious. I'm telling you, they're not as big as peaches, as some of the big peaches you'll see at the store, some of those other bigger varieties, but man, they are tasty. I ate a bunch of them last night too, so it was great. All right. Yep. Let's see here. Oh, Venice Weeks. Hi, just joining you all from Townsville, North Queensland, Australia. We got another person from the future. Awesome, Venice. Great to see you. All right. I love it. Man, I can't wait till someday I can get a chance to go see go see Australia. That would be so much fun. All right, all right. So I hope everybody's gardens have been growing great. As I said, we got the peaches going and all that sort of stuff. But today, again, as I mentioned before we took our break, I kind of wanted to do something a little bit here just for some fun, you know what I mean? And do something a little bit different because we are a live show talking about gardening. And I do garden. I have a garden out there. I have a lot of stuff growing and all of that too. And again, I need to get more on top of being able to make videos. I'm telling you, so many, my life gets so busy and so many stuff that those things kind of get put to the back burner a lot, though. So I can't necessarily get out there and show you. So I thought this would be a great way for us to be able to take a, kind of a look around at what's growing on in the garden and what we're going to call our gardening slideshow. All right, all right. So let's see if I can't get this working out. All right, we're gonna pick that one. Let's see, let's add that to the stage. That was not the right one, sorry. Let's add that one to the stage. There we go, there we go. All right, so as what you can see here, we've got basically a nice little look at what would be kind of the side walkway along the side of my place, which just leads right into the back patio. And it's just kind of a little entrance. We squeeze right into the back patio right there. And as you can tell, this is my garden. This is my garden space out here. Everything's wide and open. Right along the side there, you can see we're right along an alleyway. My gardens are pretty much a public facing garden. So, people, although I don't encourage anybody to actually go back there and walk there back into my back patio without permission, you can. Most people walk through and check out a lot of the stuff that I'm growing and everything just by walking through the alleyway too. So it's kind of cool that way. I actually really enjoy that. So let's see here. I'm going to get on and do this. Okay. All right, so let's move along here. So now, as you can see in the entrance of our little walkway here, I talked about these in one of those introduction clips for the show a couple of weeks back, showing you how these cucumbers had kind of taken over everything. These lemon cucumbers, and there's this one here is a little bit different. This is more of I'm not sure exactly what variety, but it's a longer straight, more of a traditional cucumber. And then next to it is a big lemon cucumber as well. So we got these two cucumbers just sprawling around everywhere, kind of going crazy there. But again, this is all about time. It takes time to get out and do things in your garden, and I've got to get the time out there, go and prune that back and open up that walkway and everything. But this is how it gets sometimes in the garden when things just get really, really growing. So as you can see, here's one of those lemon cucumbers that I was talking about. Got the lemon cucumber there. And these cucumbers, are really my favorite cucumber out of all cucumbers. What I want to try to do this year, though, is my experiment, and I'll talk maybe more about it, in the future and all of that. But my experiment is really kind of trying to get some of these as young as possible before they really start filling out and getting round. Because when they really start puffing and getting round is when they start to turn yellow, and that's when the seeds are getting hard and they're not as tasty at that point. But what I want to do is I want to try making pickles out of them with these nice small little round lemon cucumbers, and try some pickles and see how that does. That would be kind of fun. Now, buried right deep into those cucumbers, we have some of our Prax cherry tomatoes. Now, I grow this in this space, this little strip right here where all of these cucumbers are taken over. This is a strip of and I even open it up to put a couple more plants as we removed a couple of bushes and everything to kind of really open that strip up. But these cucumbers are really taking over everything. So I'm trying to open it up, keep it enough in there, enough of an opening so these tomatoes can kind of climb out of these cucumbers a little bit. But as you can see, we got some tomatoes and everything growing inside there. And we've also got some that are actually starting to ripen, and I've been pulling some off. And again, this year we got a lot of cherry tomatoes. We will be looking at a few more of these here in just a minute too. But when it comes to cherry tomatoes, this is my favorite tomato. This is the Prax cherry tomato. And one of the things I'm going to work on doing here as we start growing a little bit more of those is maybe a giveaway. Give away some of those seeds to those Prax cherry tomato plants to all of you out there, so you can grow these next year too. So I'm working on that, working on getting that set up, and we'll do that a little bit maybe later in the season. All right, and next picture here, we got our little fountain that's flowing there too. I love to have our little water features, and you can see our little TUG, the urban gardener, right up above what is a little kind of like a plant tower. It's one of these little dollar store towers that we're growing strawberries in. Been getting like the peaches, tons of delicious strawberries. It's one of the real big features of the garden is our strawberries. I got strawberries all over the place, from the front to the back, all over in the patio, all that sort of stuff. So we get strawberries, and I'm also working on even more. We're going to take even more new plants this year so that I can hopefully do something along that fence that you saw there where the cucumbers were. And I want to put up maybe like some gutter type things or something to where we can grow even more strawberries. I mean, again, I love strawberries. And then, and I always show this guy. This is this is probably one of my favorite non-food plants that I have growing in my garden. And I don't know what exactly type this is or not. All I did was plucked off a piece off of its parent plant when I was out on a hike one day locally, and all I did was grab just a little piece there. Like you see this one right here, just grab that little piece right off the main stem, and I stuck it in some sand, and then it rooted, and then here it is. That's probably, in fact, I'm sorry, let's go back. That's probably eight years old, about 8 years old now. But yeah, I just really like it. Nice, cool little kind of almost bonsai in a way, growing one of these out. So what I got to do really though is figure out exactly what variety this is so I can describe that to people next time. But it really is one of my favorites. When you discover growing something like that, I'd just been watching some videos maybe recently before that, and so I was really interested in whether or not I could make that happen or whatever. So I was out on a hike and I thought, why not try it? And I pulled that off. All right, so here we go. Let's take a look. As you can see here, this is kind of a nice little strip as we go into our back patio here. And you can see those strawberries I was talking about on the tower. And just behind those is a big elevated raised bed that we have. In the very back, you can barely see them. There is some Brussels sprouts that, again, I keep trying this experiment year in, year out. Hopefully, maybe we're a little bit more successful over this year, but it's the same issue. I mean, if I miss a day, I'm in major trouble with whether or not this experiment can really work, because you got to be on top of keeping your Brussels sprouts alive in our region during this time of year, because they're susceptible to more than anything else in this whole garden to all of the aphids, any bugs. I mean, the cutworms, everything. So these things can take a massive, massive hit when it comes to pests and all that sort of stuff. And I'm just really trying to keep them alive during this time so that when the pest pressure is over and it starts to cool down, then those will grow. And we'll talk a little bit more, hopefully, about those as we move on in the season. And as you see, too, we got in the front of that, and I think I got a picture coming up here, too, of these, but that's some watermelons, just some small, like sugar baby watermelons that we're growing right off of that as well. And then as you can see on the other side, right up in the front, there's actually a melon right there in that very, very front bucket container there. But the next one over, you can see, and you can see the fruits inside there are some of our eggplants. Back behind that, though, in those wood towers are some tomatoes. And then running along that strip behind along those eggplants there are a bunch of peppers. So we got about 5 or 6 varieties of peppers growing there. So let's see. Yep, there's a picture of those eggplants. Lots of fruits already coming off of the plants. So these ones have already been taken off, and we're looking for new fruits now. And then kind of a peek into and behind all of those as we look at some of the tomatoes growing in that tower there. And then here's a little flower. Look at that nice flower, and you can see the detail inside of that flower for some of our peppers. And you can see one of our peppers also growing right behind it too there. I think this is that Rhiza Macedonia variety, and this one has a lot of heavy corking on it, so you can kind of see some of that corking already. That's when your peppers have it looks like they're been kind of scraped and then kind of healed over. but that's called corking in peppers. A lot of jalapeno varieties like to do that, and there's other varieties that do as well. Oh no, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? No, 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 no. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. Okay, wait a minute. Wait a minute. What's going on here? So there's the peach tree. What just happened to my thing? Oh no, 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 no. Okay, let's do this. Let's see if I can't go all the way back. I wonder what happened there. That was wild. So let's see. Yeah, we were right in here. Okay. And there's another one. I mean, I got to get better with that little focus button. Boy, oh boy, I got too close to that guy. But there's another one of our bell peppers starting to grow. Another one of our varieties there, which I'm trying to think which variety that one is. I think that one might have been a yellow monster. I'm not sure exactly. I should, and again too, that was kind of scrambling to put this segment together too. I really should have got out and kind of wrote down some of these. But again too, these are some of our other bells. These are some giant bell peppers. I do know that super heavyweights. Those ones are called. Yeah. And then there's that sugar baby watermelon. Again, so you can see that Brussels sprout in the background there growing. It's doing okay, but it's been dealing with some pressure and all that. There's a couple that are next to it that are really, really having a lot more hard time, but I have been out there in the last day or two, and I can see that they got new growth. They got new. It wants to do something. So again, we're really just waiting for it to cool down and see what happens. I've done this a couple of times, and I just want to say I've done this a couple of times. And as the weather cools down, as we move towards winter, these things just, I mean, it's surprising how they just kind of take off, grow. You know, the stalks get really bulky, and then man, they just start producing a ton of those little Brussels sprouts. And really, to tell you the truth, too, the only Brussels sprouts I've ever eaten in my life were ones I've grown myself. So yeah, so there's that watermelon. Oh, here we are. Yeah, you can kind of see that. You can see we got a little bit of some early things, but not even sure what this little buzzer is buzzing around, but it's looking like it's looking around for some of those little pests right there. It might actually be hunting for little pests or something right there. So yeah, so all those little nodes and all that sort of stuff will all mature and grow and all of that when the season gets a bit cooler. And here's one of those flowers off of the sugar baby watermelon. And then there's one of our watermelons right there growing right off of the side of the elevated beds. And then here's kind of a look, down at the very opposite end of what we were looking at with all the peppers there. You can see the peppers running along the side there. And then this bed here is a low to the ground elevated bed. It's a 2 foot by 4 foot bed, and it's full of beans right now. We got bunches and bunches of beans growing right now. So you can see we got a little bean flowers and lots of beans that are popping up all over these plants. And again, too, I think I got like 6 or 7 plants in there, and that's going to be way enough for us and how many beans we're going to get and everything. I've already been pulling off tons of them already. So, we're in bean season when it comes down to it. Here's a nice look, a little bit of some of the flowers coming off of our Merlot lettuce. I love this Merlot lettuce. We're going to be talking with John Kohler here in just a little bit on the show. And John is the one who's really pushed me towards a lot of the red veggies in my garden. We want those high anthocyanin values, for those nutrients that we're getting out of our, leafy greens and other fruits, other things, just as long as it's got those red pigments means it's going to have a higher anthocyanins, and those are great antioxidants for you. But these seeds, and look at these nice seeds popping out and ready to go. So we're collecting a lot of those Merlot seeds and also letting some of them fly too and see where they pop up around the garden and all of that. But yeah. And then here we're all the way back to the front again. This is kind of that front spot there I was showing you. And here's one of our okras. Got our okra growing there. In fact, it's got quite a few nice little fruits popping up and everything right now. So it's looking fun. So here's kind of another look there at that front there. We've got a melon growing up in the front, so we got a cantaloupe and then another one of those sugarberry watermelons. But hopefully we'll get some fruits off of them and see. And oh, this one here too. And I grew this. I only had now when I went to the National Heirloom Expo last year, someone gave me a little packet and it only had like a couple of little seeds in it, and a couple of them weren't really good at all. So I really only ended up with like one or two of these edamames. And so I wanted to grow these and try them out. So this one here, we're growing just for seed. So that's kind of what we're doing here. So I'm just kind of grabbing and harvesting seed. So maybe I can grow more of that and really give that a try. I love some of the edamame and all of that. I've tried some of that. It's really good. So again, we're collecting these seeds and then eventually we'll plant some more for next year. And then here's another one of those sugar baby watermelons. And then another look down on some of those Prax cherries as we look down over at some of those cucumbers and everything taken over. And more tomato flowers and more cherry tomatoes. Here's a couple more of those Brussels sprouts I tried in a different area. They have not. I mean, they've been really low to the ground, haven't grown very much yet. But and I'm not sure, maybe it's because they're being shaded out or something like that could be the case as well. But this space will open up here maybe in the next few weeks before we're really looking for these to really start growing like the other Brussels sprout. So again, all a part of our experiment. We're going to kind of see what they do. I wanted to try a different space just to kind of see what kind of results I would get versus, and having them all in one spot. And then look, I guess we're kind of going out of order there, must have been. But here's a look at some of those okras and the okra flowers and everything getting ready to sprout and form some new fruits. Here's a little thing that I experimented with too. We grew garlic, and I believe this was elephant garlic, if I believe. And a few years ago, one of the last times I grew elephant garlic, I did grow some this year there. So I do have some new ones this year, but this was actually from some what they call boobles or bubles. They're these little tiny, almost look like little cloves or little garlic bulbs that can form on the elephant garlic. I've seen other garlic do this before. So I've had this happen with other garlic. So I know that, but it really is every time I grow elephant garlic, I get a bunch of these little bubles. So I experimented with growing them, and I did this last year. So I grew these out last year, and then the plants died back. And I let them sit in there and then started watering this container again this year. And they're growing back again in a second season. So what I'm going to do here is there's some of the bigger ones a little bit later on here is as we get more later in the season. I'm going to pull one out and kind of see what kind of formation's happening, see if that bulbul is really starting to grow and expand or anything. They are really in their dents right now. So I can't imagine there's really much that they're able to do to expand. So I might pull some out, separate them out, spread them out, and see what we get for next year when it comes to next year's garden and all of that. So that'll be kind of another fun experiment. So they're always having fun, always experimenting with different things in the garden. This is part of our back of our carport. We've got this space here where we've got some nylon trellising and all of that. And I grow some of our cucumber varieties and everything here. And because this gets some nice sun coming right across there and all of that. So it's a great spot for it. And this is just those cucumbers trying to get up and get growing there. And we've already got some cucumbers that are growing on there already. And this is a little thing that I'm trying to work on and kind of splitting this up. But this is a bunch more of our peppers. There's a big old box that holds about 12 of our 5-gallon water wicking containers, and we're growing all sorts of different varieties of peppers in there. And as you can see right up above, we've got these hanging kind of shelves holding some of these. They're like 2.5 gallon containers up here, and we got some of these little miniature tomatoes. They are mini tomato variety called, what is it, Orange Hat from Baker Creek. Ooh, this is one of the Lesia varieties of peppers here too. These are so delicious. One of my favorites out of last year's garden. Some more. Oh, and this, oh yeah, that's right. We have been, again, too, getting through some hot parts of our season. We actually been getting a little bit of a cool down over the last few weeks, which has been great. So I've been seeing tons and tons of more flowers popping up all over our pepper plants. So hopefully we've got a good enough cool down where a lot of those flowers will start maturing into some fruits. But we're already starting to see lots of really cool fruits. This one here is a variety I've grown for many years called a Dos des Landes, which is like a long pepper. And when they're fully mature and red, they look like a big, long kind of cayenne or something. And so you might think they're hot, but they're actually probably one of the sweetest peppers you'll ever eat right there. And here's those Orange Hats. Just a nice micro dwarf tomato. I think we even got like a couple of plants that are growing in each one of these, but they're really starting to produce a ton of these little orange cherry tomatoes. Really delicious, really nice. Here's kind of a look, on the other side of our patio, more in the alleyway where people, we got to see there. So that's kind of one of our in-ground spaces along the alleyway there, and another one of our water features and all of that. And let's see, another kind of, this is kind of like a secondary herb garden that we're doing right now. I'm kind of working with and kind of setting up to kind of go around our water feature and all of that. Whereas up in the front, if people have been following the show, that you all know that I have an herb garden up at the front of the alleyway too, in another water feature that we have towards the front gardens on the front alleyway space. And here's our patch with all of our potatoes. And as you can see, those potato plants have pretty much died back. They've died back pretty good. We're going to be digging them out and getting them out. And as you can see, a lot of those cucumbers we started this slideshow with are pushing and going through the other side of the fence and coming out that side of the fence. And they're growing this way, as you can see, reaching all the way to the alleyway. We got to really get those things under control. Right on. And here's some more of our cherry tomatoes. I can't remember which variety this one is again, but another nice red variety of cherry tomatoes we've got, plus another orange yellow variety we have growing right next to it as well. And as here you can see our this is our bee pond, or for bee watering. I like to set out for all the bees and all of that and to give them some water. But the problem is that it really attracts more wasps than it does bees. So you got to be careful around that thing. And there we go. Some more tomato flowers. Oh, this guy. Look at that. This is our pumpkin. This one is our Big Max pumpkin. So I can tell you this is a Big Max. And the space that we've grown pumpkin in many, many years. I didn't last year, but I brought it back this year with a different variety we haven't grown before, the Big Max. We're trying that out and doing that with some sunflowers in the background. And you can see some tomatoes and things growing there as well, too, in the back. One of the issues I've got right now, though, too, bindweed, tons of it just growing up and trying to pull down some of these stems and leaves from the pumpkin plant and all of that. And the bindweed, which is really trying to do some bit of it to it, but it just seems to kind of grow up it. It isn't really it's not really pulling it down or breaking any of these leaves off or anything. One of the things you can notice about this leaf right now is it is a little limp. This is being taken in the mid afternoon on a pretty hot day. So this is a natural, what it's doing. It's just kind of limping. And but they get really strong, and those things get really can really seem to hold up the bindweed. The thing I'm having the most problem with right now are some squash bugs that are actually really starting to work their way out from the center of the plant. You see some of our poor squash flowers just really suffering in some of the heat and everything. Just really got them. But we've got fruit though, so I'm not worried too much about that. We've got several fruits. In fact, I've had to cut a couple off. As you can see, this one here didn't quite make it. but we've got a couple of good fruit, and I've been checking on it. They're still doing pretty good out there. So hopefully we'll get some nice, good Big Maxes. In fact, they're probably one of the bigger size pumpkins, other than giant pumpkins that you'll see that I see all the time when I go to the National Heirloom Expo. So I grabbed some seeds from one of them at the expo last year to grow that plant that we've got there this year. And here's some of our tomato varieties. I believe these are some San Marzanos that we've got growing back there. Our paste tomatoes. This is what will be really a base for a lot of our tomato sauces and stuff I'll be making here a little bit later. And then we've got some more of those Prax cherries that I'm growing back there. In fact, again, too, I'm growing more of those back there in that area too, so that I can get some more for seeds. Again, talking about doing a seed giveaway. And then there's another variety of our tomatoes. Okay, this here, now I mentioned, okay, and we got to get moving on here too. This is one thing I was afraid of about doing this slideshow here, is how much time it would take. This is the thing, we've got to work on this segment. We might have to cut it down to just a few things. I'm not sure. But anyways, this is a picture I took a while back ago of a few squash volunteers. Now, one of the things I wanted to kind of show with this was that you can, it's squash and the curky bits and things don't like to be transplanted very well, let alone being pulled out of the ground and then put into another space. But really what it is, and what's happening here, is it just putting them through a big kind of a moment of shock, and the plants will revive and they'll grow. And then that's kind of what I'm showing here, is that next to this space here is a little compost pile that these plants grew out of from some seed last year, and I just pulled them out of the compost pile and planted them here to let them grow. Let's see here, and there they are. There's my terminal foe right now, the squash bug. And that guy is devastated those plants. Look at that. In fact, you can see the one still trying to maintain alive. And really, I was worried more so about that pumpkin, which is right on the other side of that fence there. But man, those things came right through that fence and just had a heyday with those other two. So the vining squash, which I believe was a spaghetti squash, that one just literally was just, that one just got devastated. That had to be pulled. This one here, I just basically pruned a lot of it back as I went in and tried to take out and get as much of those squash bugs the last time around, as I'm trying to mitigate as much of it as I possibly can right now. But we just pulled those all those kind of dead leaves off and kind of got them all cleaned off, and I'm trying to keep it as clean and washed right now. But already, and what I should have did is, because I should have went and got some more picture taken like today to show you kind of like the new growth that's coming out of it. And then here's kind of another disappointment. This is one of those things too. And there was this thing called Peppergate last year about seeds, and pepper seeds especially, that were just not the seeds that people were expecting when they were growing. And that's kind of happened to me this year. I went out, I don't have any, so I know I don't have any of my own poblano seeds, and this was my thing. So I had to go out and find some poblano seeds. And so I went and got some poblano seeds from, I'd like to remember who it was so I could tell you. But then again, I think this is something that affected most seed companies. So it's probably better off I don't say which seed company exactly, because I think this is, it affected most seed companies especially. But what ended up happening is I didn't get poblano peppers. This is a spot right here kind of between me and the neighbor's carport that I've grown these 3 pepper plants each and every year that I call my tres poblanos amigos, and that is our 3 poblano friends. And so I really love poblanos. I love chili rellenos. I love anchos, all this sort of stuff. But these are not poblanos, and they came from a poblano packet. Let me see how the next picture is, right? Yeah, so there we are. This is what we got, some funky looking thing. I just wanted to say, this is something that I've kind of noticed though too. I grew across myself a few years ago of a couple of different peppers. I think like a sweet variety and like a hot variety, because I'm not even sure. Maybe it even wasn't even, maybe it was too hot. I'm not even sure. Anyways, two plants crossed and it looked very similar to this. And then I've seen someone else who showed me a cross that they had happen too, and it looked kind of similar like this. Now, I don't know. And I'm going to have to ask, and I want to get next time I get a real good pepper breeder on and ask them if this is something that happens to peppers when you're breeding them and they don't quite hit the cross that you're looking for, but they come up with this kind of funky thing, you know? And, but it's interesting. So we're going to grow it out. We're going to see it. And then maybe we'll even taste them and see maybe if how hot they are or what. I'm not even sure, but they're definitely not poblanos. All right, and there's our peaches. There's our peaches. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Our peach tree in a container. I'm telling you, man, look at that. You can grow peaches in a container. You can grow your own fruit trees right at home, have fun, do all that sort of stuff in small spaces. And that's the thing I love to show about that in those peaches there too. Really great. But one of the things, and let's see, let's put this down. I gotta go back here. I know, I'm sorry, you guys. I have not been on the chat. It is so hard for me to be able to do the chat while I'm doing that. And this is a part of this whole segment idea we're experimenting with and stuff that will have to work out when it comes down to it. But for the most part, nice and fun little tour and look around all of our different garden spaces and all of that as well too. So I hope you all enjoyed that look around our gardens. So let's see here again. Like I said, we are really moving. We really got to think about all of that sort of stuff too. So I don't know. I want to kind of run through some of our chat here and see what we've been. Make sure I'm not really missing anything that anybody's saying, but thank you all so much again too for coming and hanging out with us here. And all right, yeah, and hanging out and trying and having fun with this little experiment we're doing. I know I'm running a little late from our featured guest today. Let's see. Rick says, you have lots in the garden. I try to have as much as I possibly can. It's not, and it really isn't as much as we usually do. This is more so than we did last year, and I am progressively trying to work my way of working this kind of schedule of how I'm doing all things. Because again, too, one of the things a lot of, that I have to kind of emphasize too is I work a regular job too, so I've got a regular job, garden content, and this show and all of that sort of stuff, and things I'm trying to work out on all my own time management and get things together, sort of like the time management of a segment or all of this show and everything that I got to work on that as well too with my own life so that we can get some things going and I can start doing more videos and showing you guys all the sort of great things that we got going. But we are progressively getting better. This year is far more better than what we were last year. And I am certain that this next year, and especially with some of the projects and ideas and things that we've got and we're cooking up for next year, I'm telling you, this is fun. We are in again, as I mentioned too, we're kind of in our audience building. We're trying to phasing, research, development, all this sort of stuff as we are. But I'm really hoping for just a mega cool year next year too, with the way things have been going. Oh, right. And Rick says again too, thanks for the tour. Awesome. Glad to show you. And again too, it's more of an idea too, is like here I am, I talk in gardening all the time and I haven't been able to show you those videos like I said. So I thought this idea would be a great idea and something maybe we could find a way to fit in on a more regular basis, maybe somehow, some way. We've got so much stuff that we like to do and show and all the content and things with this show that it's really hard to keep it within the time frame we keep trying to make for the show. And then I keep coming up, I'm telling you, we might even have to have another day and I just don't know if I can do that. But again, thank you so much everybody for joining with us and everything too again. And looks like we got Serena with us too. She says my pumpkin vines are climbing up the trellis. I have 3 growing, but only 1 has a pumpkin started. Ooh, you're gonna try trellis growing. Do you know, are you growing a smaller variety so that maybe you can make sure you're keeping that up on there? Pumpkins are and this is the thing though too, more so than dealing with say watermelon or even other ones like that. Pumpkin and squash, those stems can be very, very fragile. Let's see. Vinny says, oh my gosh, I work night shift weekly and I'm wanting more time for my garden. Bonus though is I can hear your channel while working. Well, that is a bonus. If you got a job where they're going to let you listen to my channel, or maybe you're sneaking in or something, I don't know, but that is a great bonus. And definitely thank you for sneaking in our show too. I mean, that is a really great compliment. Thank you so much, Vinny's. Really appreciate that. Yep. All right. And okay, excellent. Let's get moving on today. Again, I want to thank you all so much for kind of really, for one, showing up today and being here and all of that. I know we missed our show last week and everything too. And but here we are today. I want to get going here with our interview with John Kohler here in just a minute. But real quick though, I do want to just, let's see here. I do want to just, while you're here real quick, I gotta mention this because I did mention it a little bit earlier. If you have a moment to, down in the description below, I have a good link to our Facebook gardening group. This is the Let's Get Growing, appropriately named, gardening group, where you all can come and join with me in the gardening community here at the Let's Get or the Urban Gardener channel, and join with all of us and kind of continue the gardening conversation over in our group. But I wanted to mention this right now though too, is that because of our little garden tour, and I'm showing you all those pictures and all that sort of stuff and getting to show you the pictures of my garden, is that this group is a great way for you to show me pictures of your garden. So you can go to this group, you can upload and pictures, video, all sorts of stuff to show us what you've got growing in your gardens, because I love to see what your gardens look like too. So it's great to show you great tours of what we've got growing here. I love to see what everybody else is garden. I'm a passionate plant person, so I want to see some really good gardens from some garden enthusiasts out there. So definitely come join our group there and come share with us all of those great things that you've got growing on in your garden. All right, so we'll be right back with our interview with John Kohler. Hey gardeners, thanks for tuning in to our show today. We'll be right back at it here in just a moment. I just wanted to take a second here to highlight our regular videos and features here on the Urban Gardener channel. Our weekly garden journals, and our incredible featured visits.
The answer to this week's trivia question is D. Cucumbers are highly nutritious, and while this is partly due to their high vitamin and mineral content, it's also because they're mostly made of water. Most cucumbers contain as much as 95% water in their succulent flesh, making them an excellent hydrating treat on a hot summer day. Thanks for watching. Head over to Sarah's Seed Shop where you can find garden seeds at unbeatable prices. Enjoy the rest of the show and have a great day.
All right. Moving right along on the show right here. It's been a little off the rails. In fact, did you all notice I didn't even have the screen on at the beginning of the show? Gee. Oh my. But anyways, it's been a fun show already so far. I'm really glad to have you all with us here today to kind of have fun here too. And right here, coming up in just a moment too, I'm going to play for you guys an interview I did with John Kohler just to, little over a week ago. It was just a few days before our last Saturday show. It's so hard to nail this guy down to try to get him down for a live show. I'm going to do it one day. I've got some ideas that I've been trying to work on him about, or maybe even if we get down to the National Heirloom Exposition this year or something, we'll try to do a live stream and get him on live one way or another. We're going to pin that guy down so that you guys can ask him some live questions with us and everything too. But he's always great to kind of get together with and hang out and talk with and all of that too. And I'm really looking forward to seeing him here in just a few weeks too, again at that National Heirloom Exposition. So everybody, without further ado, let's jump in and have a nice conversation with our good friend, John Kohler from Growing Your Greens.
You never know when you might learn something, and that's what this is about for me. These are people that I admire. Please welcome my next guest.
All right, everybody. Let's welcome to the show our good friend, John Kohler. Hey, John, how's it going? Welcome back to the show. Thanks for joining us again today.
Glad to be here.
Awesome. All right, so right off the bat, I know that probably most people who are watching the show right now and those who are in the gardening community already know who John Kohler is from Growing Your Greens. But if there is happen to be someone watching right now, how about we give yourself a little bit of an introduction, tell us a little bit about yourself and your channel and all of that.
Sure, I started a YouTube channel, Growing Your Greens, because I was pissed off because of Dervay's family. Well, let me come down and check out their place, and they didn't share how they converted their lot into growing food, which actually I think you were one of the first people that actually got a real interview down there and actually showing their stuff besides just CNN and whatnot, right? So then I started my YouTube channel. I don't even know how many 15 years ago. I don't even know.
It's been a while. Yeah.
Years. I don't really count, but I started basically my YouTube channel to show how I was converting my front yard in Northern California into an all raised bed edible vegetable garden that is still growing food today.
Yeah. Still great videos, mind you, too. I mean, there's a good reason to go to your channel and actually go back to those if you want to learn about converting your. I know they might be older videos, but it's about converting your front yard into some garden beds and all of that. Very relevant still, those videos. So I would encourage people to go back and check those out too. I love those videos. In fact, I'm probably going to go back to them as I start converting our front yard.
And then also, of course, at the time I went to friends' houses and started converting parts of their backyard or front yard and help people put gardens in that have, those series online as well. I haven't done one of those series in a long time. It'd be kind of fun to, do a series like that again, because I haven't done one. And, I do pretty much most of the same thing, maybe a few things different. And then, from there on, then I just started just teaching people about growing food, the specifics, how to grow different kinds of foods. More important to me, how to process the foods, and I really look into some of the science and published studies on the benefits of the specific plant foods. And I suggest people grow certain foods, such as, red and purple color leaves to eat because they're significantly more nutritious. I mean, when you go to the store, you don't have a choice of what you're going to buy. You just whatever the farmer grows and whatever's there, you could buy. But when you're gardening and growing your own food, you could buy the seeds, buy the plants that you want to grow and grow them. So, I mean, gardening is so empowering. So that's what I just try to empower people on my channel. Of course, I visit many different places. I travel a fair bit. There's probably gardeners that travel more than me, but I get around and, I really like to show what other people are doing in their yards, to kind of inspire people. And it's, because it's not just about me. It's about the whole gardening community. I have videos on cannabis, which I'm a big advocate for, although I'm not a stoner and I don't smoke cannabis myself. But I think it is an amazing medicinal plant that has been unfortunately villainized and demonized. I'm going to be at the Heirloom Expo this year, and
lots and lots of stuff. Yeah, we got lots to talk about here for sure. And you're mentioning going out and doing visits and all of that. One of my original inspirations for things that I was planning to do is I started my YouTube gardening channel, so people know I've done many different visit videos out there going to different places, and that was all inspired by videos I watched of John doing all of that as well too. And also, we got to get you to come up here sometime and come check out our gardens. We got to get you to venture up to Southern Oregon. Lots of things to see in between, but definitely. How are the gardens doing, anyways? So let's start with in fact, you do have 2 different gardens, one in Northern California and then one in Las Vegas as well, right?
Actually, man, you got 3 gardens now, dude.
Yes, that's right. In fact, yep, that's right. I got a note to talk about that as well too. I know, that's great.
Yeah, so my garden in Las Vegas, obviously, since I'm primarily here, is doing the best. Actually, I was out this morning pinning up my lilac sweet potatoes I actually got from Baker Creek as little plant starts. And then I'm growing them in 15-gallon pots on the side of my house. And then basically I put like a net trellis, like literally my house is 1 story. So like from the roof line to like down, pots are sitting there. So like all the sweet potatoes are growing up the side of my house, actually right outside the window.
All the vines.
Yeah, the vines.
How many different vines would you say? Is it make a nice little wall?
I mean, well, I started planting like that far side first, and then I just actually my newest one I just planted. They've been in like little 6-packs, which are, I mean, there's only one that I just planted, but they were all planted progressively as I had time and made time for it. Plus, I had to put up a new trellis because I think I only trellis like 15 feet worth at first, and then I'm like, let's just clear out the rest of this alleyway, and so then I added another 10 feet. So I'll just buy another trellis. So like it's like a good 25 feet of just string trellis, and then the vines growing up. And I got mostly the lilac sweet potatoes and then some Malabar spinach that actually just grew up from seed that dropped last year.
Yeah.
So, and I was out in the garden. I usually work in the garden until about noon. It gets around 100 plus around noon. And then I'm like, now it's inside time.
Yeah. That's why we got to have plenty of things to do inside on hot days too, right?
Well, yeah, I got content to film and edit, and I still got to have, I make all my own food, which is, I don't know if everybody, I mean, I think it's terrible that gardeners go out and buy pre-prepared food and get fast food. I mean, you're growing your own food. Like I prepare something out of my garden every single day. I eat something out of my garden every single day. I make my food fresh. Yeah. Very important to me. I think I don't really show that much on my channel about that. I think I really need to make a couple more videos on that, but they don't seem to do that well, unfortunately.
Yeah. That kind of coincides though with your other channels though, right? Your raw food channel.
I mean, yes,
juicing channel, because that's kind of a lot of your primary stuff, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's just my life. Yeah. But I think I really want gardeners to start eating healthier, man. Cause I mean, you guys are all growing your own food.
I'm working on it. It is a struggle. It is such a struggle. I'm telling you. For you, I mean, you make it seem like it ain't no big deal, but
you just gotta find out what works, dude. Come on, I live in Las Vegas, man. We hit 120 this year.
I really got to get one of your juicers. Is what I got to do.
115, and I did lose I lost a couple tree collards and my original chamola rooted plants, which was a little bit sad. But I of course have cuttings of all those, and stuff doesn't make it. I have plenty of stuff and I even started planting like from seed this year because I was lame and I didn't get enough plant starts. So even I started seeding things in July, which is still growing. It's still growing. I mean, I was seeding things when things were over 100 every day.
Yeah.
I mean, you could do it. I mean, there's
still things you can do for sure. And I grow and I eat a ton of stuff from my garden. I do eat a lot of healthy things. I'm really a grazer when it comes to a lot of stuff. I mean, I'll fill up most of my early day just munching on things right outside in the garden before, later on in the day, like I said, other things are just too tempting in life. And maybe not as tempting for some, but it is still kind of an issue for a lot of us out there. But I do try, and I do give it my best shot. And growing a garden really is one of those best starts and best ways you can to get yourself on track and on that path towards eating a better and healthier diet, though. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. I want people to eat whole, real food. Hopefully, the majority of it is made up of plants.
Yeah.
If you want to be healthy,
Exactly.
But at least if you're growing your own animals and harvesting them and their eggs, that's still way better than the store. And I advocate for a whole food,
better than
diet
processed food,
and minimally processed, plant-based. And I'm saying plant-based. I'm not saying plant exclusive. I want people to eat a lot of plants. And if you feel you need to eat meat or eggs or milks or whatever, or dairy, like that's up to you. But I really want people to eat the majority of their food as plants and minimally processed plants at that, not stuff from factories and all this kind of garbage.
Exactly. And that's, and I think that's one of the things I really, really caught on with you early on and everything was just that sort of level of honesty that you had about things and stuff. And I remember years ago asking you about that sort of question, about, people who do live, they're living this lifestyle that's whole and growing their own animals and those sort of things. And I was really kind of surprised how open you were to that sort of thing as well too. But really a primary focus on the food system, this, processed foods, this really, in the long run, garbage that's out there, the sad, standard American diet that we have and everything. So moving towards those things are always better if those are the things you're more inclined to do. And, you've never been one to kind of, I don't know, in a sense, villainize that lifestyle in a sense. You know what I mean? You've always been with purpose, eat a healthier, better life, have a healthier, better lifestyle.
Yeah. I mean, I try to be positive about it, but I also believe that the thing that's ruining America most is not all crazy politicians. It's actually the standard American diet and the food that people choose to eat and the marketing that we're all getting, because that really deeply affects our psyche, our ability to think. Anyways, we won't even go there today.
Yeah. Well, I know, and I completely agree. And we could spend a whole show just talking specifically about that stuff. And maybe sometime we probably should, because it really is important that people think about those sort of things. And it really, and again, too, it's just, I think that's one of the great things about your message and how you bring it about and everything is that it isn't judgmental. In the long run, it's about, just pushing people to think about things and understand them better. And then more so on that is take that into action. And really the best action we can do is what we're all about here, is getting and growing gardens and gardening and growing our own food and learning about that process as well too, because that's where we can really connect with our food. And what it is when we start growing it and learning about how it really is produced.
Yeah, picking it fresh.
Yeah, and then to other things which become really important, which I know is something you talk a lot about too. In fact, I think it's probably where I really originally started thinking about and focusing a little bit more so on that than just the plants I was growing. It was the soil. And thinking about soil life and creating good organic soil for, strong, healthy plants, because strong, healthy plants then produce, great food, for us. Right. So it all really kind of starts with the soil, right? Wouldn't you say?
I'd say, yeah. It probably starts with a seed.
Well, the food itself, I suppose, the seed, but yeah, exactly. But I think before we get to seed or even plant starts on your part more too, because I know you like to utilize more plant starts than seed. But we got to have good, healthy soil, and those sort of things, and we got to be thinking about these sort of things in our garden in order to produce, the healthiest garden we possibly can. And that isn't really just the food itself, right? That's the plants too. That soil helps us produce healthy plants, which helps them resist pests and become, more of those nutrients that we're looking for, denser nutrients and things like that.
Yeah, the plant could just fully express itself when it has all the nutrients in the soil, as well as a soil, healthy soil rhizosphere with all the different microbes, the food soil web in the soil living. And unfortunately, that's my belief. I believe in the food soil web. I don't believe in a chemical model just dumping on NPK fertilizer, of course.
Right. Exactly. We just had our friend Adam Burley. He lives locally to me here, just a little bit down the road, but moderates our chat for us. And he's gone through Dr. Elaine Ingham's soil food web courses and all of that. And I've always found those sort of things fascinating too, about that, because of how, again, too, it really is, I think, one of the things, if I'm talking to people about gardening or getting started with gardening, I've always kind of focused on that. It's like, because I think if we even bring soil to focus right at the beginning as we're showing gardeners gardening and stuff, then we can help them kind of understand what to expect with their gardens, right? So like just getting started, is we going out there and just putting out a raised bed in our garden and we dump a bunch of soil in there and all of that, it's probably not going to be the best garden at first, right? Because soil needs time to build up, and it needs to, kind of build its character in a sense over a little bit of time. So our second garden is probably going to be our best garden, not necessarily the first garden. So we learn about soil buildup and how that works. And that way expectations, are kind of also kind of set a little bit better as well for new gardeners.
Yeah, I mean, in general, I would agree with that, although it depends where you live and if you have access to really high quality soil. And how much you want to spend on high quality soil, so if you're lucky enough,
cost is always,
outside Houston, there's the Nature's Way resource there. I think it was in Conroe, Texas.
Yeah,
I mean, you could go there and get some phenomenal soil and blow the pants off what most people are going to be able to do with big box soil. Or
I would say though that if you are willing to spend money, you probably can find somebody. Maybe not completely right down the road from you. Maybe you might have to take a little bit of a drive or something like that, or have it delivered from somewhere. But I am sure that you'll be able to find somebody who's, processing really good soil.
What you're doing it is driving a truck from California.
Yeah.
And driving a truck back of soil, because the soil here.
Nobody's making good soil near you. Oh man.
My black soldier flies that I was admiring this morning as I dumped my compost in there for them to eat. That made me happy. I was like just looking at little grubby things like swimming around. I'm like, yeah, they're making good soil.
Well, I know for me right here in Southern Oregon that I could probably find several different places.
Yeah, I mean, Southern Oregon, dude, you're good, man. This is Vegas, dude. We don't have gardeners. I mean, even like Phoenix has better soil, with like Arizona Worm Farm and
right.
Got Vegas has the worst resources, but most places maybe find some better, but there's definitely
you're in a soil desert. You're literally in a desert.
A food
you're
desert.
in a literal desert. That's great. So let's talk a little bit about, so you mentioned just a few minutes ago about a third garden. You have a third garden now. And this is something I think we touched on a little bit last time you were on the show last year, talking about how you were planning on going to, where is it now? Puerto Rico?
Right. I bought property in Puerto Rico, 3 acres.
Yeah. So I can't remember on the last time you were here if you'd gotten anything started there yet or not, but I know since then I've been watching videos of you going and visiting and showing off the property and all of that too now. So how's that all been going?
Good. The first trip, which was probably like, let me see, we'll count the months ago because the time is not going to be relevant really. It's probably about, let's see, December, 8 months ago. Now, on that trip down there, I basically planted some fruit trees.
Yep.
And they basically just got covered in weeds by the time I came back.
Taking over
there like 3 months ago, and then I basically had to string trim, and I put like one of the locals told me like he's like get like PVC, that's cheap PVC pipe. It's like whatever $3 for a 10-foot section. Cut it up into 2-foot, things and pound it in next to your trees that you plant. Otherwise, you won't be able to find them. And
Oh, right.
So, I mean, that was the smartest thing I did was that, like put
Because
PVC
it
pipe
was
next to
just
my trees
grown
that I
out.
know where they are, because they were just, everything was overgrown and like weeds were growing over them. So then when I had to like pull it off, I'm like, oh, there's a PVC pipe. Be careful with the string trimmer. Anyways, so yeah, that last trip I just planted like a half dozen trees. Some of the things didn't make it. Oh, I planted some herbs, which all made it. My passion fruit vines, like one stayed alive, but it's barely alive. None of them made it. They're really weak plants. And
So
then,
how are you going to manage that as you're just kind of going back and forth seasonally?
well, that's
I
the
mean,
fun
those
thing,
things are
right?
just going to come right back, aren't they?
Nature just grows. So I mean,
It's
as I'm
crazy,
going
huh?
on, I mean, yeah,
Especially in a what is that, near tropical area there?
no, it's tropical,
It's
straight up.
tropical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
mean,
Yeah.
right now they're having like like almost a hurricane.
Oh,
I guess it's
my.
all in the news and
That
stuff. I think
too.
Puerto
That
Rico's going
too.
through
Not just
category
crazy
1
wild weeds, but
Ernesto. I think it's Ernesto, but it's rainy
hurricanes.
season there now. So I was there right before rainy season, planted on a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Purple sweet potatoes. I cleared a side of a mountain. So I'm like starting with different zones, right? Of course, I'm doing the zone nearest my house. Also, down a like a good slope that I don't want to erode down. So I'm planting things to get roots in the ground to hold the soil.
Good
and
idea.
also at the same time grow food. So, I planted mostly sweet potatoes, but a lot of other things too. So, one of my biggest joys is when I get back to my property to see actually what's still alive.
Exactly.
Like,
What
wow, I got all this
survived?
down. I didn't do anything. I wasn't even here for 6 months.
Exactly. What survived the jungles, just what nature just does with what, I mean, you just set some things and let nature do its thing
And
and
then I
see
get
what
to learn
survives.
like what's, tolerant, like these plants are weak. Don't mess around with them. These are hardy, just like I do in Vegas. Like, it's been basically over 100 degrees, like 70, 80 days now straight. I think 2 days were like under 100, 98 and 96 or something. But like, I've learned what grows well here with like little effort, right?
Exactly.
So I just grow those every year, and then I try a few new plants.
Yeah.
And then I'm successful. So I mean,
that's kind of where I'm at too here, is that things have gotten to the point now with our summer heat and the way it is, and it's been for the last few years now. I mean, it used to be I could grow any tomato I wanted to. I could pick a tomato out of a catalog and I could just put it in my yard and grow it, have all these cool tomato tastings and stuff on my videos years ago. But in the last several years, I can't do that. I'm limited. I'm just limited to now just having to find the types that will grow in heat. So I'm finding heat tolerant tomatoes, and cherries I got tons of different varieties of cherries all over the place, and stuffing myself every day with tons of cherry tomatoes. But yeah, having to find for the bigger size tomatoes, there's a few varieties so far I've found, and I'm, talking with other gardeners and trying to find more and bring some more in seasonally so I can find those, like you said, figure out what it is now that's going to be able to handle this type of heat that I can grow, and hopefully be able to continue to grow tomatoes, because I love them. Everybody loves tomatoes, but it's a struggle, when you got such high heat like that.
Yeah, I should have a video on tomatoes. I think they're mostly a pain in the ass.
Yeah. Well, and again too, they are. And I've been talking to a few people. I had a guest on just a few weeks back and everything, and I asked her about what her favorite or least favorite thing to grow was, because I like to ask everybody what their favorite and then their least favorite is. And she said tomatoes, because they're just they're just so
rambunctious. They grow so
finicky.
fast, and then they get.
And then they have every problem in the world,
and
from blossom end rot to, tomato leaf wilt to fungal blight, to all sorts of things.
Trellis them. They take so much labor because they grow so damn fast. I mean, I'd rather grow okra, because okra grows as a nice tree. Yeah, it'll grow tall, but it's like reinforcing itself as it goes. Tomatoes just flop over, man, unless you got a lot of space.
And you got to, you've got to manage them. Exactly.
You got to manage them, man. And then they get bug issues. I had like a hornworm on mine, and half of the tops got eaten, and I'm like waiting for it to cool down so that starts to actually make fruit, because it's like it's growing in 110.
Yeah.
A few flowers, a few fruits, but once the weather starts to cool down, then it's just because we got all the growth, it's nice and big, it's just gonna just blossom.
Yeah, that's kind of what happens. In fact, it started cooling down from about almost a month's worth of 100-degree weather. So it was really wearing this.
You only got a month. That's mild.
I know. But for the stuff that I grow, then mild, hot, heat weather. So they're to them.
You got to start growing what I'm growing, man.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm trying. I got to make adjustments.
Peppers, and then all the greens. I have all.
Oh, the peppers are out there doing really great. Doing really great right now. And yeah, so exactly. And it's just making those adjustments and figuring that out, though, that you got to do and all of that. So we're still kind of in a little bit of a process to keep some things that we want to continue growing. But yeah, it's kind of, it could be, like I said, it's quite different, you know, and I'm even for sure for you, even it's got to be even hotter though, right? Or your son, you guys are used to hot desert summers anyways, but it's got to still be even getting hotter there too, right?
Well, no, we hit a record 120 degrees this year.
Yeah, record.
A record.
Breaking records, yeah. Even for Las Vegas.
So, yeah. And then 5 days over 115, which is pretty, I mean, of course, every day is like over 100. Some days are over 110. It's lately been like 105. Which is actually cool.
Right.
105. Ah, that's nothing, man. My plants are laughing. Maybe in the middle of the day they get a bit droopy, but then, like, you know, I mean,
yeah. So for us, exactly. We're lucky. We've got down and dipped down into some high 80s right now, which is kind of just so really nice for us. It's just amazing. But it's been that 100, 108, 105, you know, 102, 98, you know, as a cool day. And then back up into the hundreds, and then another like 98, 97. So our cool days are only like just under 100 degrees, you know, and it's been like that for a while. And for us, that's pretty intense, you know, that's getting more and more intense for us, you know what I mean? And again, too, becoming more and more Vegas like, though, as the summer would be concerned. It's just because like I said, there's plants out there that just don't grow as well. I do got some okras out there. I got some eggplants out there. They love it. The peppers are loving it. But yeah, my tomatoes have been, or the tomatoes with the bigger fruits, you know, are always having a struggle to set fruits. So but I got tons of cherries everywhere.
Hopefully you'll get like a month before it freezes after it gets cooler.
I know too. And that is too, it's kind of the jauntlet right now, is if it does stay kind of cool enough and we don't really get too hot, maybe for too long, going now to fall, then we might be ready to just start for the plants to start setting and start producing, and hopefully they can grow and get big and fat enough by time it gets too cold and the plants start dying back. But that's another thing too, though. We, you know, our hotter summers are also meaning longer falls too. So our seasons are stretching out a little bit longer as well too. So hopefully that is the benefit. Right on. So what's been going on though? I mean, so you've got the gardens now grown in Puerto Rico. You're got your gardens in Las Vegas, up in Northern California. So you got tons of your own gardens growing. But one of the things, like I mentioned too before, you're a big inspiration to doing the visits and going and doing all this sort of things and showing off other people's gardens and projects and all of that sort of stuff. And I'm sure you've been keeping busy doing all of that as well too, right?
Yeah, so whenever I visit Puerto Rico, I'll visit some, you know, local farms or places I'll find there, make a couple of videos, at least one or two. I'm usually pretty busy on the I'm like the most busy when I go to Puerto Rico of all my gardens, basically, because that place is huge. But and then in Vegas, actually, I just went to a guy's place. He harvested a pawpaw fruit, and I showed what you could grow, the fruit trees that grow easily, you know, for him. Derek Martinez, Abba Gardens on YouTube. Yeah, and then I want to do an episode here with the jujube guy. Got to contact him because it's jujube season, one of my favorite fruits, and they grow really easy here. Yeah, so I'll do videos locally, and then when I go to NorCal, I'll visit my friends that grow cannabis and garden over there in NorCal. And yeah, so I mean, I
Some
still get
Florida
around.
stuff. Do you go to, is it just Florida stop off on your way to Puerto Rico?
Sometimes. So sometimes I'll go to Florida as a stop off or on the way back, and then I'll make videos there as well. I still have a couple of Florida episodes from my last trip that I have not released yet. Yeah, and then I do like to travel. I've been maybe traveling a bit less lately.
Yeah. When was the last time you made it out to Hawaii?
Oh man, it was like that was like right before the pandemic. The pandemic was just starting. It was like 2019, and I've been wanting to go ever since. But now, like, I guess they have the fires on Maui, and on some levels, like, some Hawaiians don't want tourists, and I don't know. And then Hawaii tourism is dipped, and I don't know, man. So yeah, I hope to get there again soon. I love Hawaii. I mean, my mom was born there. And there's a lot of cool projects going on there. But the other thing is you can't like bring back fruit or plants with you, but I can from Puerto Rico. You know, certain fruits and plants can be brought back.
Oh, well, that's a bonus there then.
Yeah, so it's a bit better. And then also bringing plants in, you know, can't bring plants into Hawaii either. And then, of course, I have been able to bring plants into Puerto Rico, especially for my property to get a lot of stuff growing fast. You know,
that's good.
A lot of cuttings and stuff. Yeah,
that's good. Well, I think the cool part is more so. I mean, getting into Puerto Rico is one thing, but then getting back into the States and that the States allow you to bring stuff back from. I mean, I guess it's still a United States territory. It's still
but I mean, there's an exclusion list. So there's things that you could bring and things you can't. So it's not. So I mean, I fill up like luggage with cacao pods. I filled it up with bananas, avocados. I
see your posts on that too. I love that. You just stuff all that stuff in there. It's great.
Yeah. So these are things that can be brought back, that are illegal once they inspect them. If they find one little like woolly aphid, man, they're like, can't take none of it back. I mean, depends on the guy, man. They suck. The USDA people there.
Right.
They sometimes they're really mean and they're just like, come on, guys.
Plucking things out and tossing them in the garbage, right?
Yeah, one time I had all these cacao and they found 3 with some like woolly aphids on there. They're like, you can't bring none of these back. So then I had to basically sit there in the airport, pod them all and take out the fruit from the pod. And now I'm screwed because now the fruit out of the pod doesn't last that long.
Right.
And I had to stop over in Florida for a couple days, and then I brought it back, and then it just went in the freezer, and then finally I got to be able to process it and take it out and thaw it, and then put it on freeze dry trays and then freeze dry them. But then the quality of that is so,
because now you've really processed it, right?
Well, yeah, because normally I'll bring back the whole pods and I'll shuck the pods here and then put it right on the freeze dry tray and then freeze it instantly versus it being out of the pod in Mylar bag.
Yeah,
in and out of fridges to keep them cool during the whole trip. They're oxidizing. I don't know, man. Whatever. I that's just what happened. And when you got to deal with the government, but yeah, lesson learned. Now I inspect every single fruit. I literally take a toothbrush and brush off every little thing that looks funny.
Shine them up, huh?
I mean, that's so stupid, right? Now my homegrown produce now has to look like store-bought produce because they have to be perfect.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Whatever, man. Whatever. That's just.
What about shipping though?
What you got to do?
Can you ship stuff?
Yeah, they do, and they would inspect it, so that would still be stringent. They would still make sure that it's to the same standard if you ship it. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, I'm sure you probably got some pretty wild stories about getting in and out of some TSAs, right?
TSAs, I mean, usually they just always want to inspect my bag and open it up. It's agriculture that I usually have more fun with.
Right,
but the TSA is always looking at me funny when I'm bringing all this. They're like, "What the heck is that?" And actually, one guy knew I was bringing a jackfruit. Actually, he's like, "Yeah, I know. My wife's Filipino. It's a jackfruit." I was like, "Wow, I'm impressed."
Nice. Right on. Did the jackfruit make it?
Yeah, actually, well, that was going to Missouri. So I brought that so me and Wendy could eat jackfruit when we were at the Baker Creek Tulip Festival.
Yeah. Right on. That's great. Excellent. So what else did you so when you were in Puerto Rico, you said you visited some people and done some videos on some things down there. What were some of those videos you did?
Yeah, so the video that I did this trip, because I was mostly working on my property, was the Caribbean Agroforestry Institute, which if anybody's in Puerto Rico or even the Caribbean, they should get to know them because they're doing some amazing work there. Not only did I drop off some unique genetics to them, you know, they already have a big collection of a lot of really cool genetics that they've actually brought in themselves or have brought in. So it's quite unique, and they're just doing permaculture food forests. Actually, I may end up hiring them to actually put in, you know, to give me a turnkey system so that I don't have to do the work because they're going to have all the equipment. They have all the plant starts. I mean, they could
here's a place, here's a project for you. You guys can do whatever you need to for whatever educational value it can be. Just go at it.
Well, yeah, then I'm gonna pay them, of course, and then I'd come back and then I just have all my food growing because they've installed it all and done it correctly.
Because that's what I was gonna say. They would be like the perfect place for everything you need to get things going for your place, anyways.
Yeah, I mean, it'd just be a lot longer if I did it myself. So yeah, I mean, and they're set up, and you know, of course, they are looking for work, and they have permaculture retreats where they'll teach you how to do it yourself, and you know, you'll camp on their land. They have a natural water.
Get some sort of trade-off, maybe, as they can have your places like an off-site kind of.
No, they don't need my place as an offsite. They got their own amazing place.
Really, pretty nice, huh?
Yeah, it's really nice. We got like 30 acres or something, I think.
Yeah. I can't wait till you get that place going and everything rolling and doing what you plan on doing with it down the road and all that. Because I'm gonna have to make a trip down there and go check it all out because I've been wanting to get down in that part of the world and see all of that sort of stuff. And I think it would just be so fascinating to see that sort of stuff, not just what you do, but again, a place like that that's doing certain things like that would be just really cool to see. Because it's one of my favorite things. You mentioned also jackfruit too. My first time getting to try jackfruit was with you at an heirloom exposition. So that was really great getting to do that and try that out. And it's actually been most of those times getting to do those trips down to California or to the Heirloom Expo or other places where I've gotten to try a little bit more of these other varieties of things I've never even heard of before, you know, like jujubes and different things that I've just never tried before. And I think are so really great about places like that is that type of variety of things that you can get that you wouldn't normally get in your own area.
Yeah, that's what I love. I mean, I planted a miracle fruit tree, so hopefully that's doing really well in my absence. So we'll see. Maybe I got fruit when I get back. I'll be excited.
Yeah. What about, I mean, and I guess that's something, a jackfruit tree would probably be pretty big for your property, right?
I mean,
I thought about getting one.
No, we've started a lot of jackfruit seeds.
So you got some starting from seed that you want to get going. Okay.
No, we have a lot. My friend already planted because my friend owns a property next door. He lives there year round, Kailash. Yeah. He owns 4 acres and he's already planted a lot of jackfruit on his property, and I sent him like jackfruit seeds. Like, John, don't send me any more jackfruit seeds. I got like 100 starts going.
So I was gonna say, but those trees get huge though, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, so if they're not good, you just cut them down. But dude, we
keep them to size.
7 acres. Come on, 7 acres. That's so much land, man.
No, but
so much space. There's so many junk trees that we need to cut down, and I'd rather replace it with a jackfruit tree, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's true, but there's still tons of other great stuff as well, too.
There's room for it all.
All of it. That is right. 7 acres is a lot of property.
So we could
a lot of property.
We're working on it.
That's awesome. So let's see, you mentioned getting out to the spring festival for Baker Creek there with Wendy, which was, I saw a lot of those videos and that stuff. That sounded really fun because I've gotten to go to a lot of the heirloom expos in California and everything. But how was that spring festival this year?
It was fun. You know, I mean, Wendy and I gave a talk. I'm going to probably air it pretty soon on my channel. That's been one held in the queue for a little bit. yeah, I mean, I think the biggest part of that for me was like going out there to talk and meet everybody, but more importantly was to source seeds and starts. You know, like most people don't know that like Baker Creek, yes, they have seeds, but I want them to be known for their plant starts because they have phenomenal deals on extremely rare plants that grow extremely well. I brought back 3 flats of their starts. So I brought back, it's like each flat was like 60 plants.
Yeah.
So I brought back the longevity spinach, and I planted a whole bed out of longevity spinach, which is just actually I had the what is it? The perilla, anyways, the shiso come up and it was shading it out. I'm like, I got to get rid of the shiso because that's a weed literally for me. I have plants that I let grow, and then I just cut all those out so that they could get more sun. And I mean, I have so much longevity spinach that now I'll be processing this year because I have so much for first time ever. All the plants are doing great. And then I also have the Bele, or they call it edible hibiscus, which I got from them last year. And I've been growing every year. I have 2 beds of those, as well as just planting randomly around my property. And they just grow great. And then those will grow all year in Vegas. Then they get cut, and then they get sent down to Puerto Rico. So like last year I sent down, was it 2 batches? No, I think I sent down 1 batch, and then I traveled with another batch of cuttings, and we stick the cuttings in the ground in Puerto Rico. And then now the Baker Creek plant starts that started growing in Missouri grew in Vegas for the season until it got too cold. I cut them down, and now these big stalks, you know, by the time they're done this year, they'll be like 8 feet. I'll cut them into like 2-foot sections, stick them in the ground in Puerto Rico. They will root and continue to grow, and they're just going to grow for like, I don't even know, 10 years or however long the plant gets before the hurricane gets it or whatever, and then produce leaves for us to eat and then propagated material. So it's like that really, you can see that really gets me excited. Like, man, how these transition from Missouri, they got taken on an airplane as my carry-on. Planted in my garden, grew 8 feet, and then now they go on another trip to Puerto Rico.
You still got to get them there though, right?
Yeah, still got to get them there. Yeah.
But yeah, that's awesome though, man. That's great.
And I sent like some last year in a flat rate box, like the board game box, that are now out of they don't make them anymore, but I have a few left. So you still have them, you could still use them. So I had cuttings that are this long. My friend didn't really know how to do cuttings, but he just stuck them in dirt.
They stuck them in.
And now we set up a nursery area on my last trip that it gets automatically watered. So it's gonna be easy for him. But we've already filled up the space. We have 2 pallets worth. And now next time I go down there, I'm gonna add on 2 more pallets. So we have like 4 pallets of basically space that get automatically overhead watered so that he doesn't have to do it. Under shade cloth. Like that was, and we put all that in basically in like 2 days, like nursery area with automatic watering. And I'm like, is this gonna work? And then in Puerto Rico, it's hard to we don't have like all the cool irrigation stores, and you can't find everything easily, man. Like some things are just non-existent. So like we got these bubbler dripper things, or it wasn't the right sprayer. And then like when I left, it was like not watering properly because it's pushing too much water out, because we got these cascading things, which are the wrong, but that's all Home Depot had. And there's we went to every like hardware irrigation store in 2 towns. We couldn't even find the right part. Then of course on Amazon, you could order for $2. Anyways, but then by the time I was home,
you got to ship it all in, huh?
Yeah, so we had to ship it in. But anyways, we got that all working. Oh, and then I got another flat of the lilac sweet potatoes, which now I'm growing a significantly more sweet potatoes than I ever have before, and they're all the lilac ones. So they're like.
So is there a big difference between the lilac sweet potato and other varieties of sweet potato, or is this just a different variety?
So the lilac sweet potato is like a purplish color, so it has the anthocyanin content. It's probably not as
dark purple leaves.
Well, no, these are like green leaf, but they're purple inside the sweet potato.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I usually grow the Stokes sweet potato, which is a trademark kind. But if you're just buying them from the store, then you just plant them. You know, they'll make slips, of course.
Right.
And then you don't sell them, then you're cool. But they're like a trademark. But they're more deep purple. And when I'm not growing sweet potatoes, that's what I buy. I buy organic Stokes sweet potatoes available at places like Sprouts, or Whole Foods. But yeah, and then of course all the sweet potato vine, all the leaves are edible. They're an Ipomea batis, whereas I also grow ong choy, which is known as Ipomea aquatica. And actually that they are both featured in my video, Heat Loving Vegetables, right? So like I have friends all over. One of my friends, you know, he lives in South Florida, and he's like, he has all these fruit trees and he's eating mangoes all season long, which is great, you know. And then he's growing in his garden, he's growing watermelon. Yeah, I grow watermelon in my summer garden because in the summer it's too hot to grow vegetables, he says. It's not too hot to grow vegetables. I grow vegetables 120 degrees it hit one day. And like you can grow vegetables, you're just making up excuses that are BS. So anyways, I made a video, all the 10 easiest. I mean, I'm not talking even hard. These things are easy. You plant them, you give them a little bit of water every day, and they just freaking take off, and you have more greens than you could eat. So, you know, yeah, it's great to eat fruit, but man, you could grow your vegetables in South Florida, man. If I could do it here in Vegas, man, don't even give me no lip.
That's right. You tell them. That's right, for sure. The sweet potatoes, though, you say that, are they growing in containers?
Yes, 15-gallon, like, you know, wide containers that are not as deep. Yeah.
Like the grow pots or felt pots, or are they just
no, because the local nursery basically they'll sell, you know, trees for landscape people in these big pots, and then they basically when the landscapers bring them back, they'll give them like $1, you know, as to like, you know, to buy them back, and then they'll sell those to like somebody like me for like $2. So like these nice 15-gallon pots, man, like they're not like the tall and like narrow ones, which I have some of those too. They sell those also, but no, these are the wide ones with a big surface area on the top, and then they're not quite as deep. They're a little more shallow. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm using. They're all like cheap pots from the local nursery. I have to, you know, they were inexpensive, and you know, because I grew sweet potatoes in one of my raised beds one year, and I think I made a video about harvesting them. I will never, ever grow sweet potatoes in a raised bed again. Now, I am growing sweet potatoes in the ground in Puerto Rico, not in a pot. But, you know, I want them as ground cover, actually, and to hold the soil with all their roots so that, you know, and then I'm glad to dig them up, you know, in the ground, but, like, not in a raised bed, dude. Purple sweet potatoes, man, they just grow underneath. I had to dig up the whole raised bed, man, and disturb the soil way too much. So in a pot, dump out the pot, end of the year. I got all my sweet potatoes. And
there you go. Nice and easy, right? Makes it nice and easy. You can set it up, you get the soil right, do all that sort of stuff. And I saw one, there was like a gentleman, I saw a video. He was doing like these, I think the year before he had some of those straw bale type garden things, but he built up around and on top of them even deeper. So it was really, really deep. And then he grew sweet potatoes on this, right? And he was pulling out, I think the biggest one he pulled out was like a 25-pound, 25-pound sweet potato out of the thing.
Wow.
Yeah, that was pretty wild. I was going to say, but he, you know, he made sure he set it up and it was deep, and, you know, with the soil he had prepared, it wasn't going in an actual in-ground type of situation. So, you know, it's kind of interesting though. I'd never seen a 25-pound sweet potato before.
Yeah, me neither.
It was a monster.
Yeah,
I could probably look it up too. I'm sure it's on YouTube somewhere. I found it on there somewhere.
I like them smaller, actually.
Yeah, well, see, and that's what I would figure though too, is that just like other things, as they get really, really big, they probably just start to get less and less tasty. Yeah, exactly. Right on. So the spring festival was really fun. What else was going on there? You guys, that was the one thing I was going to mention too. I really like is I've been wanting to get out there and see it too. Is they got all the big greenhouses full of everything you can go out and check out and everything too. Did you do some tours and stuff of that?
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, every time I go, Jared's building something new. So I mean, he's got his big Wapini thing, which is kind of the size of a football field, but it's like one side's like against the dirt, and then one side's like, you know, got the greenhouse thing on it, so it kind of stays insulated. Those walls on the side of the dirt, though, some of them are really bowing bad, but he said he had engineers out and he said it's safe, and I'm like, man, I don't know, but whatever. And then he has all the greenhouses that are all up in production, which he's doing a lot of trials on. Of course, he's got his greenhouse full of like sumo tangerines or the decopons, which is impressive because he's growing them like literally like in the middle of the country, which citrus doesn't like to grow there. But of course, it's climate control and heating. You could do anything you want.
Exactly,
use more power. But then this year, what was cool is they're adding on to their main store. So they're basically put a greenhouse off the back of the store. And this year, the structure was up and you could enter it from the back, but they're actually making it so you could walk through the store and then go to the back and then have the greenhouse area where they'll have the plant starts and other stuff for sale and stuff. So by next year, when I go back there, if I go back there, it'll be finished. But like,
so probably some of the best stuff from the bigger greenhouses brought into the.
Well, no, see, their regular greenhouses are just for their trials and seed production and for photos, actually, and for use at like the restaurant and for the work for the employees for their food, you know, and Jared's family, right?
Yeah.
But like this back greenhouse that's attached to the store is only for plant sales.
Right.
So, you know, that's going to be really cool, you know, because they only usually sold seeds there, but now they're going to sell plants, hopefully year round, you know?
Yeah. So was that your first time there?
Oh, no, I've been there a bunch of times, man. It's my fourth or fifth time now. I don't know.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. Yeah. I got to get out there. I got to go check it out, man. I got to get off the West Coast sometime and go see what's going on out there.
If it wasn't for the plant starts, I mean, the weather there, you know, I could give or take. It wasn't too bad this year.
Right.
It's still early in April. And then, I mean, I don't know. It's all right. I'm a West Coast guy, though. You know, that's like Midwest. I mean, it's just cool. People are nice there. Things are just a lot smaller. And
I just see all the pictures or like the video footage. I saw some of your video stuff, and I'm just like, man, I gotta go check this out. I gotta go see it. I just really enjoy the heirloom exposition so much. You know what I mean? That was
so much different than the heirloom though, because it's their home base. You know?
Yeah. But that's why I kind of feel like it's kind of like taking the heirloom and just, you know, like you said, going to the home base, seeing where it all came from.
It's different than the heirloom, though. I mean? The different focus, So if you want to go for the plant starts, I'd say go in April. But otherwise, you want to go to the spring planting festival in May if you're not going for the plant starts.
Yeah, that would probably be the best one, huh?
Yeah, well, May they'll still have plant starts at that one too, but like that's where they really focus on growing vegetables, whereas the tulip festival is more about the tulips. And of course, this year on the day of the tulip festival was also like that solar eclipse thing. You know, so people were tripping off that, and like I was just filming mostly when that was happening because I was
That's right. I do remember that was that, huh? Right when you were there too. Great. Could you see it though? Was it did you guys get out?
I tried to look through it through my camera, and they gave me the free glasses, but like I don't really care about those kind of things, man. Like whatever.
Yeah.
It made it a little bit dark for a second, but it wasn't that bad because I was mostly filming. I'm like, everybody's watching that. So most of the attractions are empty, so I could film.
There you go. Take advantage of it, right? While everybody's distracted, for sure. Right on. So you're going to be, again, each and every year. In fact, the first year I went, I think, what was it? 16, 17? One of those years, my first year going to the Heirloom Exposition when it was still in Santa Rosa, going to see one of your talks there because you always do a talk each and every year at the National Heirloom Exposition, which is, again, down in Ventura, California. For its second year down in Ventura, California, after it's come back from the COVID break. Basically, it took a few years off from the COVID break, and then came back down in Ventura, California, which was really fun down there too, as opposed to where they'd been doing it for years, 9 years in Santa Rosa. But yeah, I'll be back mid-September. I think it's September 10th or something, right? 10th, 11th, and 12th, I think is something
like
is
that,
about
yeah.
right. Yeah. But this year, though, I noticed on the speakers list that you're not doing a solo talk this year.
Right. Yeah, I'm going to give a talk with my friend, Dr. Jeff.
Yeah, Dr. Jeffrey Pierce. And you're doing a talk called Garden as Your Medicine Cabinet.
Yes.
Doctor-approved strategies for growing, preparing, and eating to reverse and prevent disease.
Yeah.
That's quite a title.
Be good, man. Yeah, I mean, because we
fit it all in there.
Yeah,
yeah.
He's an OB/GYN. He delivers babies, actually, is his day job. Plus, he's a lifestyle medicine doctor. So, right this is, and he's a gardener. I mean, I made several videos at his place showing what he's growing, so he could feed him and his family. And so I think this will be a kind of cool, because like nobody's really given a talk like this, really focusing on, how your garden is your medicine cabinet. I mean, that's great.
I know you did a panel years ago, in one of those panel things they did that kind of touched on some things like that. But yeah, for the most part, something like this is definitely going to be a great talk. I mean, something, which really just goes right to the heart of exactly why you garden.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
How it all got started really was finding, gardening to find better ways, and to I guess in one way though too is that you were already kind of heading on that road of eating a raw food diet, but yet gardening was a good way to kind of produce that food yourself, right?
Well, it just took my diet to the next level by increasing the quality and varieties of foods that I could eat, instead of it being dictated to me when I went to the store or to the farmer's market.
Yeah, exactly. Right on. Yeah. So that's going to be a great talk. Really looking forward to that. I can't wait to get down there again and see everybody and go to the Heirloom Exposition again. It's going to be really fun. And again, down in Ventura, California. So if anybody wants to go and check out that talk and hear about garden as your medicine cabinet, I think this would be a great idea to make a nice little fun adventure and trip down to Southern California and go check out not only what Baker Creek has going on for their Heirloom Exposition, which is just really a fantastic gathering and get together for anybody who loves to garden, and really, again, too, on the point you just made too, and loves variety in your garden. This exposition is really, really a must see. Yep. Nice one-word answer there. Perfect. Yeah, so definitely get out and go see John and his talk there, and other friends of the show as well too, and what Baker Creek's got going on down there, and come catch up with me and others and all of that too. It'd be really fun. I can't wait to see you down there, John, and thanks again for spending your time this afternoon and getting out of the hot garden there and coming on the show and talking all about what you got growing on.
It's all fun. Now I get to eat my figs.
I'm just
have a nice meal
for people. Oh, right on. Yeah, that's great too. I've got some figs. Yeah. Mine are doing really, really well this year. In fact, I had one fig that I've got that I didn't think, because last year I had it as just a cutting and just didn't do much of anything. It sprouted out a tiny little thing and then didn't do anything more than that. And so I thought maybe, okay, it's no good. The other ones did things and grew. That one didn't. I threw it and tossed it off with a bunch of other kind of like old plants, junk plants that I'll recycle the soil for later. And I came back to doing that work to kind of go through them and everything. And there it was growing.
Wow.
And so I got it all growing and everything, and it's got one little fig sitting on it right now out there. And I'm just like, come on, little guy.
I cover them, man. I cover all my figs with like these little cheap bags from Amazon. These, whatever. The birds are crazy. They're growing mostly Cadota, green Cadota. But then I got actually one Chicago hardy fig, which is actually hard. It's a cold hardy fig actually.
Yeah.
But I'm growing it in the heat. actually, and it was
Oh,
from
yeah.
Baker Creek too, actually. So it's actually grown nice. I put in a nice 15-gallon pot, and it's grown at least 2 feet since I've had it.
Oh,
So
yeah. It's
that's
amazing how much they actually grow when, you know, because you can cut them all the way down and grow completely all the way back up if you want to bush grow them every year and all of that
yeah,
too,
that's what the
because they
Chicago
just,
already does. It basically will die back even in Chicago,
yeah.
and then just come back and then produce fruit for you in a single
Yeah.
season.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
make
In fact,
coffee.
mine is a Chicago that's out in
Oh, it
the
is.
alleyway right now. I do have a Chicago that's out there. It's got a bunch on it this year. It's looking great. And then I've got a couple of other varieties I got from the Fig Hunter
Oh,
that
wow.
I'm growing up and growing right now. And one of those was that one that I had trouble with, but it came back to life. So it's great. And so I'm looking forward to just this one little fig that's growing on this one little thing. That's really great. So, but I've got a bunch on the other ones that are growing. This other one that I have out back is just starting to set fruit. So their
Wow.
timing on their fruit settings just a little bit different, but there's just hundreds of varieties and they can all set varieties everywhere. It's one of the most fascinating things about figs. If you want to talk about variety, figs are just amazing. There's so many great things. But again, too, John, thanks so much for hanging out and talking with us today, man. It's just really great to have you here. And again, we'll see you again real soon, hopefully here in just a few weeks at
All right,
the
Nick,
National Heirloom Exposition.
All right, take care, man.
All right. There we are. What a great, fun interview. Nice discussion with John Kohler on the show today. I hope you all enjoyed that talk. One of the things I wanted to mention too is towards the end of the conversation there, we were talking about figs and everything, and I didn't even mention it there too, but the very first fig I ever ate was a fig off of John Kohler's tree in the front yard of his Northern California house, where he has his front yard garden. And I was mentioning in the chat too, a lot earlier in the conversation with him, that I started following and watching him back in 2010, 2011, probably more closer to 2011, as that's when I first started gardening and growing that cucumber I tell everybody about. And John was one of those very first people that I found online to start learning about gardening and growing things. And then fortunate for me, years later, starting my YouTube channel and meeting John at my first heirloom exposition I got to go to. It was shortly after that I was invited over to his place by a friend of his. And then that's when we got to really meet each other and got to know each other. And it was at that point in time that I got to try one of those figs for the very first time, right off of his tree right there in the front yard, which was really great. And again, got to start a whole great friendship with that guy, and just is one of my favorite people, even more so than a lot of the stuff that we get to do in these conversations and everything like that. John's become a really good friend and someone I really look forward to seeing every time I get a chance to either go to Las Vegas or even catch up with him in Los Angeles or up in Northern California too, where his home is. And again, too, I'm going to have to make a special trip to Puerto Rico and go check out that property that he's got. I mean, this is going to be really great. I really hope this sort of thing really comes to fruition for him, because this is something he's been talking about. If you follow his channel all the years that I have too, this is something he's been talking about for a long time as a dream of his, to be able to have a place and a property where he can really kind of just almost kind of create kind of a farm type, healthy living type of place where he can invite people and do all that sort of stuff. And it's just really awesome to see that sort of thing start to happen for him and start to come together too. So really, really awesome again to have John on the show there too, as well too. And really, really great. Oh, and I'll also mention too, at the very beginning of the conversation, he had mentioned there too about the Gervais family. I remember him telling me about this, because I mean, years ago when I first met him, I was like, what is your real inspiration? Because I was just getting into doing video content and gardening content, and I was like, really, what was your inspiration? And he's like, it was kind of almost a reverse inspiration as well, because they inspired him, for one, to do everything they did, and then later on he tried to get a hold of them and try to do things and get over there and do things. But at the time, from what I'll know, and I'll just give you a little background on why that was an issue for him versus me, was that it was a different person running the farm. It was the father. He was the one. He had a lot of things going on. And by the time I came around to asking the urban homestead for an interview, it was just the siblings left to look after this big, great project. The father passed away, and it was at that point in time, I think they were just wondering what they were going to do, whether they were going to keep this alive or what they were going to, all of that sort of thing. So a part of their kind of concept of what they were doing was to just start inviting, and let's keep this alive by inviting people here. Let's create more educational programs. Let's include more. I mean, they have done an amazing job, and I know their father would be extremely proud of what they've been doing with that urban homestead down there. But in fact, I am, and I still am. I will. I promise you. I'm going to find some time here real soon. I am holding on to video footage that I shot months and months and months ago, talking with the urban homestead. One of the most popular videos on our channel is our urban homestead video on our main page there, and that's one of the videos that's driven a lot of people to our channel when it comes down to it. And so many people might know or have already seen that interview, but if you haven't, you go check that out. But we did that years ago. And like I said, this was the father's passing away was very fresh for them, and it was very emotional, and it was a very serious situation. I didn't get to talk to the other two siblings, the sisters, in that video. One of them was around, and I did talk to her a little bit, but she was a little shy to get on camera, and we didn't have the younger sister there. But their brother did do an interview with me, and we did a great interview. It was really good, and so this last time when I got there again, we got some really cool segments from around the farm with each and every one of them, as well as a cool kind of sit-down interview with all three of them and everything. I super got to get this video done because it was such a great conversation with them, and I really look forward to being able to get that out to you all too. But anyways, again, here we're running. Well, we're not running too late today. I think we fit it in pretty good when it comes down to it. But again, just another one of those kind of shows where we're just trying to get back on track here. We had, again, like I said last week, we had to take a break because of a power outage and all that sort of stuff. But here we are back again. Rick, thank you again so much for the compliment there. Let's see here. I want to make sure I'm not forgetting her. Oh, and you know what, Venice? Thank you so much for coming here and joining with us from the, I saw your comment there too about coming over from Garden Like a Viking and all the way from Australia. So, I mean, you've been up all night watching some great gardening content. I'm so really, really glad that you came and spent your time here with us today. And I hope that you keep coming back and we get to see you some more and all of that as well too with everybody else as well. And wonderful day. Yes, everyone have a wonderful day. Thank you so much, Rick. And all of you have a wonderful day too. And real quick here before we do go, I want to mention to you all that this Sunday edition, we are a weekend show live every Saturday and Sunday, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern. So do be sure to come and join with us tomorrow for the Sunday edition of the Let's Get Growing show, where we are bringing back my good friends Kang Starr and Christopher Bransdahl for a nice little roundtable conversation about how things are growing and what's growing on and all of that. As hopefully we're going to get things kicked into gear here with some good roundtables coming up. I'm working on some. I know that Chris and Kang have kind of been our regulars for that. We've had a couple of others otherwise, but for the most part, we are going to get those together. I've got some really cool stuff we're working on right now. I can't wait to start announcing some of that stuff to you all real soon. And also, again, as I mentioned too at the beginning of the show, we do have our monthly gardening book club. This has been so fun. I want more and more people to kind of get involved and get in it and to participate and have some fun with this, because as I mentioned also at the beginning of the show, this is unlike most of those book clubs that you'll ever be a part of. This is a very unique book club for the gardening community. What we got is a whole month to kind of read and check out and go through our books and all of that. And instead of gathering it all together in one of our living rooms and talking about it all, we're all going to gather together in all of our living rooms and invite the author to come participate with us and have a discussion about the book with the author. I mean, how awesome is that? And it's really awesome that we got our buddy Mark O'Shea Colbert co-hosting with me. He's been having just as much fun with this monthly book club as I have been. So I want to promote this more. I want more people to get involved. This is really fun. We got to keep books involved in our lives. And when it comes down to it, there's so many amazing gardening books out there and gardening authors that we're just going to have more and more fun with this whole thing. So next month for September, we are featuring All the President's Gardens. This is a book by Marta McDowell, and she writes lots of different things in the gardening world and all of that. We picked out her book, All the President's Gardens. I mean, of course, here in the U.S., we are in our election season, but we are going to keep politics out of this, and we're just going to talk about all of those great gardens at the White House. It's just one of the biggest, most everybody knows the White House, and I've been to the White House. I've been on those around those grounds and all of that sort of thing. So it's one of the great things about the White House. I was out, they got a big old gate right out in the front where you can look right in, right out at the White House and everything like that. And one of the things you notice right from the front of that gate, all the way, and it doesn't, in a picture of that cover doesn't really do it justice, but it is all the way out there, this way, that way, and it's just all gardens and just beautiful landscaping of amazing, awesome gardens. And one of the things about those gardens and those garden spaces on the White House grounds is a lot of the presidents throughout history, all the way back to Washington, and and I think one of them talks about Madison and Kennedy's roses and those sort of things. I mean, just each and every president's always kind of brought a little bit something to these gardens with each new administration that comes along throughout our history. So the White House has a long historical record of amazing gardening that goes along there too. So it's going to be really fun to kind of dig in and check out all of that sort of stuff too, though. And so I'm really looking forward to that for next month. So I hope you all come and check that out. Maybe. And here's the thing, you don't have to have the book, but it's really great to go check out that book. I mean, that book's an amazing book. It'd be a really fun book to have on your bookshelf. So if you want, go out and grab that book, read along with it with us this month, and then come hang out with us on the third Sunday of the month in September. And real quick, let's double check that date is going to be the 15th of September. So third Sunday of the month, 15th of September, we'll be inviting Marta McDowell to talk about her book, All the President's Gardens. So that is just going to be really, really great, and really look forward to all of that too coming up here as well. So again, thank you all so much for joining with us here today. And if you can, before you leave, everybody jump on there and hit that like button, click the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and definitely share with all of your garden friends. Help us get the word out there. It's just really awesome. We are in this kind of phase of trying to build this audience. We want a good regular audience coming with us each and every week. It's great to see Venice here coming from Garden Like a Viking, and I hope we see Venice coming in the future with many of our other great guests that or viewers who have been so awesome to come and join with us and spend their time here to and join with us each and every week on the show. So again, really awesome to have you all here, and I hope to see you all tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern for our Sunday edition of the show. So everybody, I hope you all have a great day, and I hope you all having a wonderful time in your gardens today, and I'll see all of you tomorrow.